Vulnerability in the workplace, it had its moment, but for me, it was never really just about vulnerability. Instead, I've always really sought to build connection.
I think the same goes for authenticity. I think it's easy to misunderstand what these things are really about. And it's never really been about exposing the entirety of yourself at work. I'm Tara Collison, the founder of Meddlers, an executive development firm that helps executives and leaders bring out the best and most in their potential.
And I'm Deborah Holstein. I've got over 15 years hands-on experience leading high-performing teams. Tara and I share pragmatic, on-the-ground advice, tools, and frameworks to address some of the most pressing problems you're going to face as leaders every single day. Now, I've been feeling lately that there's just been way too much talk about showing and expressing vulnerability at work. It's like they're saying it's necessary for leadership and for career success. And I feel like it may have been misunderstood or maybe even taken too literally, because I feel like it misses the point, because vulnerability alone actually won't get you what you want in terms of leadership or career success.
100%. Or I think there's a chance we just took it too far. I think sometimes we're always looking for what is that gold standard and how do we implement that one thing and then everything is fixed.
Mm.
And for this one in particular, there's some legitimacy behind it, right? It's received a lot of attention because being vulnerable is a legitimate pathway to build connection with people, the kind of connection that helps your team operate more successfully. And you do it very quickly when you're vulnerable with each other, because the courage it takes to actually disclose something that's really personal or feels really tender for yourself, it actually is just telling the other person, I trust you. I trust you with something really sensitive. But let's be clear, it's not the only way to get trusting relationships and connection at work.
That's right, because it's like you almost have to keep your eye on the prize, which is the outcome of connection, a productive connection with the people that you work with. They need to get to know you, and you need to get to know them in order to work effectively. You have to learn things like, how do they like to learn new things? Do they need time to process new information? Are they the kind of people who start with the no before they get to the yes? What actually motivates them? Are they looking for recognition or creative outlets? And as you learn about how people think and what drives them, you become a better teammate. You get better at influencing them, changing minds, getting buy-in, being a leader. And the more that they get to know you, the same thing happens. They get to communicate better, influence you, and help you to grow and change too.
Yeah, and this is how we actually are able to start giving each other grace, really giving each other the benefit of a doubt. You've heard the saying, assume positive intent. Well, when you know someone, you can do that a whole lot
Mhm.
easier. It gives ourselves the permission to be imperfect, right? We don't have to always know everything or always be having an on day. And then when we are having that off day and we just start feeling it, you know that you can give that over to the people around you, so you can let go of control or let go of having to be perfect, and because you know that people are going to perceive you with the best possible intent.
So true. That's so true. I like that idea of like giving up a little control about how they perceive you, because in general, the more they see you, the more the grace they're going to give you.
That's right. I feel like being authentic at work has also been misunderstood, right? Because it's not about like showing up in your jeans and your pajamas and telling everybody all the ins and outs of every single thing that's happening in every single personal relationship and whether your dog's sick today, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
not about exposing every single thing. However, we don't also want to have like who we are at home and who we are at work. Those things need to intermingle so we feel like we're accepted for who we are. And so having a work self that is completely devoid of who you are as a person, that's not going to work either, right? We have to find the balance between these things. And for everybody, it's a different formula.
I love that you use this word expose. It's not about authenticity is not about exposing everything. I feel like that's really true, because I feel like authenticity has been misunderstood as this exposure thing, right? And just exposure is not going to promote connection. Connection means there's another person in the equation, right? Another person with their needs and their talents and their own set of circumstances, and how you build connection is something you two are doing together. And every single relationship develops over time. So it's like if you came in one day and just, exposed everything about you, that is not going to build the connection with your coworkers, because that happens over time. You can kind of do it and think about what you're going to do and build that trust and build it over time, as opposed to thinking about exposing yourself all at once.
That's right. And there's two pieces about that that I feel are really important. One piece is it's about the other person too, right?
Mhm.
And being able to be curious about what's happening for them, or just listen when it's their turn to share something, and really remember it and connect with it. And the key here is to consistently be in that dialogue, both caring about what the other person says and sharing a little bit about what's happening for you. And that adds a layer and layer and layer and layer. It's like this little tiny deposit you're making every single day. And by being intentional by how you show up, remembering that it's the connection between the two of you that matters, and that's that connection that's going to make you feel like you can be authentic and you can be open when you need to, but also that you can catch when they need you to catch and be there for them. And so if you're thinking about
Mm.
vulnerability and authenticity, think about the outcome. The outcome is this connection plus consistently adding through intention the building blocks of I've got you and you've got me,
I
right?
r- I
Being the
really like
outcome.
that. Yeah, I really
Yeah,
like that image of like building the layers over time, because that consistency means that they can trust what your reactions are going to be. They can trust what you're going to say and do. And then those days when you have an off day, they give you grace because they know who you are.
that's right.
So we're curious about how all of you are thinking about vulnerability and authenticity in the workplace, and let us know how you're thinking about it and any other topics you'd like us to tackle.